Yes, that'd be perfect. Thank you.
Ardel, Avelino, he, him, his. I'm a critical care registered nurse by background. I received my associate's degree in nursing from Long Beach City College, my bachelor's of science in nursing from Holy Names University. I am a proud graduate of the Master's in Healthcare Administration from Cal State University, Long Beach, the accelerated program. And I received my doctorate in nursing executive leadership from Baylor University. I'm currently the Senior Director of Operations for St. Mary Medical Center. I've been with the organization for the past 20 years. This year, I celebrated my 20th year here, and I have progressively grown in the leadership capacity, having held the position of compliance officer, quality director, associate administrator, and in my current state. And Ardel is fine.
Okay, perfect. Does anybody want to volunteer to go next out of our speakers?
Yeah, I'm happy to go next. This is Christina Stecki. I received my Bachelor of Arts from Cal State Fullerton in English, my master's from the HCA program at Cal State Long Beach. I'm an associate director with regulatory affairs for UnitedHealth, and I've been there for about 17 years. And I'm also adjunct faculty at Cal State Long Beach, teaching in the healthcare administration department.
Thank you for sharing. Does any of our other speakers would like to go?
I'll go. Are we following protocol or are we not all here?
No, everyone's just going, depending on who wants
I
to go
believe
next.
Jose was starting.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I think you were muted before, Jose.
Yes.
Is he
can you
here?
hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
Yeah,
you now.
can you hear me? Okay, great. My name is Jose Valenzuela, and I work for UnitedHealth Group. I got my master's there from Cal State Long Beach. I'm currently a compliance director in our Medicare programs. And once again, I'm just happy to say that I graduated from Cal State Long Beach program.
That's amazing.
And you can just call me Jose. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I
No,
was going
no worries.
off there.
And then you can go next.
You want me to go next?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Gordana Vukotich. I received my she, her, hers, I guess. Let me follow protocol. I just got this late tonight. I want to make sure that I'm answering all your questions. I have my Master of Healthcare Administration from Cal State Long Beach. I was a USC undergrad dropout. I went back and got my bachelor's at University of Phoenix. I received my Master's of Healthcare Administration, Cal State Long Beach in 2006. I'm now a doctoral candidate, just completing my dissertation at the University of Southern California, back where I started. I'm really excited. Organizational change and leadership in the School of Education. I'm interim consulting. I started my career in the healthcare industry. I transitioned from the wine and spirit industry, started out grounds up sales and marketing rep, and worked my way into operations. I have provider and health plan experience, and I'm now consulting.
Thank you for sharing. So we don't have any more, right? We're good? Everybody got their turn? I want to make sure. Okay. So we're going to start with our first speaker being Natasha. Human Resource Executive is her position. For Natasha, a few of the questions that we have that our students are very eager to know is, how did you get to your career path? What advantages has your career path given you, such as like opportunities, and what challenges were you faced with?
I'm not sure if she's on. I don't see her name.
I don't see her. I was going to say, that's why I was a little thrown off when I came in
Okay.
a couple of minutes. She's not here.
Okay. Christina, would you like to start us off then?
Jose's right.
Sure.
Okay. One of the questions that we have is, what did you do to get to your career path, such as like educational wise? What advantages or what career path are you in now? And what has your career path given you as far as growth and opportunities, and what challenges were you faced with in your career path?
Sure. When I was very young, my goal was to become a doctor. And I slowly realized chemistry was not my thing. So I dropped that major and took a very slow path to something that was near and dear to my heart, which was literature. It took me 9 years to get through my bachelor program because I was part-time, working full-time, and had stops and starts. Ended up graduating and turned that English degree into something that I was familiar with full-time work, which was working for a legal department as a paralegal project manager type. And from there, I moved into a litigation role. Some of you may know Tom Canego. He actually hired me, and I worked for him for almost 10 years. Great guy to be a mentee to. I still consider him a mentor. So if you have the opportunity, I highly recommend connecting with him on a personal and professional basis. So from Tom, I, ultimately parlayed that into a, litigation project manager role with UnitedHealth. And over the course of, I'd say 7 years, Tom said, go to law school or get your master's degree, but you got to do something else and you got to do more. And so I said, okay, well, you teach this program, so it must not be half bad. So I will give it a try. And I became a part-time student, still working full-time for UnitedHealth, and received my master's degree at the ripe old age of 36. And then from there, the department was nice enough to see that it's helpful to have former students who've worked in healthcare, aren't necessarily scholars, have a background that would be helpful to share with students. And they offered me a role to be a part-time lecturer for the healthcare administration department. And I've been doing so since 2019, typically teaching the legal aspects class for undergrads. So some of you may have taken me already. Some of you might be taking me in the spring, but I do currently teach that on a part-time basis, depending upon the semester. As far as challenges, school is just a challenge in and of itself, as is putting a roof over your head and food in your mouth. And so I've always looked at it as, you just got to do what you got to do and get through it as best as you can, knowing there's something on the other side. I've been fortunate enough to work for the same company for 17 years now. And with increasing responsibility, increasing experience, and that's, I think, the biggest challenge is you get a lot thrown at you and you kind of have to figure things out. School doesn't teach you everything. Nor is it a great place to tell you exactly the path you should take, especially in healthcare when you're not a doctor or not a nurse. And so I think it's been a challenge to identify those areas, but if you stick with what you like and the people that you enjoy working around, I think that will create success no matter what field or area you go into, whether it's healthcare or public health even, or really any career path you choose, even if your bachelor's is in healthcare administration, like mine was in English, and you end up changing career paths. So you just stick through the challenges and get through it, and there's rewards on the other side of that.
Thank you. My next question is, do you recommend a master's specifically for healthcare if you wanted to get into the healthcare industry? Or would you suggest of a more baseline of a bachelor's in healthcare to get to where you want to be? Do you see growth with the master's or no?
I think a master's degree sets you apart from the pack. I think it shows that there's clearly an interest and more of a focus on healthcare administration or public health or whatever master's program you decide to choose. For me, I wanted to understand why I did what I did because it was a day-to-day healthcare job and I didn't quite know why. And so it helped me get that experience and background from an educational perspective. I don't personally think it's necessary to get a master's degree straight out of your bachelor's program. I think experience, frankly, is the biggest gift you can give yourself when it comes to a career. You meet a lot of people, you learn a lot of different things, you kind of get your feel for what you actually want to do. And then you can decide, master's degree or not. But it's also important if, you have the time on your hands and, you're able to, be young and go through the program and get it taken care of early on in life, more power to you. It was not easy at 36, that's for sure. But, but we all have our own paths in life and time frames. So whatever works, but don't think that getting a master's degree is necessarily going to open a door, because frankly, when you have experience sometimes a few years out and just a bachelor's degree, I would pick you out of the pack versus someone who's brand new to the industry and has zero experience, but has that master's degree. Frankly, experience pays off.
Thank you for sharing. For our new graduates or people who are just graduating or going into the real world, what advice would you give them as far as trying to look and source for a job in healthcare, or where to look, or like getting your foot in the door type of thing? Because I know a lot of students just have their internship, but sometimes that's not enough of a connection to be able to get an HCA degree or job specifically.
Yeah, no, and that's a great question. I think networking is key. I know Jose, who's a colleague of mine, he'll agree with me. It's who you know, and frankly, the relationships that you make and the people and places that you meet them at. Associations can be helpful to, get to know your colleagues that are in the same field. But it is kind of who you know. And I recommend networking as much as possible to get to know those in your field, because that's where really the doors open up. I also extend my LinkedIn if folks are interested in connecting with me, because you just never know. And building that LinkedIn profile and your connections and meeting people at association gatherings, I think that's really key when it comes to getting into healthcare. And frankly, considering where bachelor's candidates were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, things are very different now after COVID, and there's a lot of opportunity out there. And I think there's a lot of companies who are thirsty to hire people who want to hit the ground running and kind of, want to try different things and are willing to put in the work, because there are so many opportunities out there, and they're trying to fill those opportunities. So you're in a good job position, I think, but definitely open yourself up to networking and meeting other people who are in similar positions or have similar likes or career paths as you.
Thank you, Christina. I also wanted to ask if you wanted to share anything specific about your career of choice, and like if there's any real growth that you can see for your future. And even though you may be getting a degree later, it doesn't matter. In my opinion, I feel like everybody deserves a degree no matter what, how old, your age, because I feel like it's free for everybody. And for that, I would say, if you have any advice to students before we move on to the next speaker, I would love to hear it.
I think to just keep your mind open and not box yourself into the role that you've chosen for yourself or the role that you're in. I think the most successful people that I've witnessed and worked with are willing to do anything. They will do the most menial sounding task, and they'll do the hardest task, and with ease, or at least try. So I think opening yourself up to understanding that, just because you're given a title doesn't mean you're above or beneath anything anybody else is doing, and to learn from those positions and try new things and keep yourself open to those type of challenges. I think it's incredibly important to have somebody who's, our company uses this word far too often and I can't stand it, but it makes sense. You have to be nimble and you have to adapt to whatever the situation is. And if you close yourself off and say, nope, that's not my job, you're the last person anybody's going to count on for any sort of promotion or opportunity that might come your way.
That's really good advice. Thank you so much, Christina. We're going to move on to our next speaker, Jose. Jose, when it comes to speaking with you, we want to know again, what your career path is. Do you see potential growth in your career path? If you were just coming out of college, what would you give those students for advice?
Well, the good thing about these types of panels is really the diversity, and for my path, it was a little bit different. So I did not have a degree when I got into healthcare. I had a technical, I went to a trade school, so I was a medical assistant, x-ray technician. I was able to work at small clinics. I worked at Kaiser. And early in my career, I was, on the patient care side, interacting with patients. And I did that for a few years. And then what I did is I transitioned into the health plan side. So I ended up joining at the time Pacific Care. I did not have a degree, as I mentioned. I did have kind of the skill set as it relates to being in the healthcare field, understanding, the patient care model and how that works. And I moved over to the administrative side. I was working in customer service. I did customer service for several years. And through that progression, I moved into appeals and grievances. And through that role, I started doing project management at the time, electronic, I wouldn't even call it an electronic health record, but electronic mechanisms, right? For doing faxing, for storing documents, all that was really emerging. So I took advantage of my experience and, raised my hand, who's willing to do this? I was willing to train people on new technology, willing to learn about the technology, willing to take on these types of projects. So I kind of moved into a project management role. You'll hear a couple themes. For me, I've spent my time in healthcare, which is about 28 years, with two different companies, either Kaiser or with Pacific Care, UnitedHealth. Because when I was with Pacific Care, I left the organization, went back to Kaiser. So Kaiser was one of the first large health plans to take on an electronic health record. Probably, they have one of the biggest electronic health records. They're pretty advanced. They use a system called Epic. So I did leave Pacific Care to go to Kaiser and do some implementation work, training doctors, clinical staff, as we rolled out the new electronic health record. And this was back in 2006, when, like I said, electronic health records were really just emerging. After my time there with Kaiser, it was actually less than a year. It was a contract. I went back to UnitedHealth. That's when I started looking into regulatory affairs. I was managing audits at the time. So I went into a space that was fairly new to me. Once again, I was fortunate enough to be able to go back, leverage some of those connections, the contacts that I had to get my foot back in the door. I spent several years in regulatory affairs. I worked in our Medicaid space. We call it community and state. Spent some time in community and state working on bidding to different states to award those plans, those business to those different states, like Kansas, Washington, Arizona. And you learn a lot about the variation of the different types of businesses that operate in healthcare, right? So you think about, employer-based commercial business, you think about Medicaid plans or community and state, and then you also deal with different Medicare plans. Like I said, I spent a lot of time in regulatory affairs in different roles. I did managing audits, I did regulatory affairs, and then I'm currently in a compliance role. Health plan compliance is a little bit different. Just about a year ago, I was with Kaiser in LA doing compliance work in their medical center. They're at the Sunset Medical Center. And what I really learned is, there's so many opportunities out there, different niches, different things that you can do, even in compliance. You think compliance is compliance. Well, it is different depending on where you are performing the compliance role. Like I said, a hospital-based compliance is different than the compliance I do today. For me, because I took a different path where I did not have a degree, I was a working adult, similar to Christina. I was in my 30s as well when I got my bachelor's degree. Made a decision to go and get my master's degree as well. I did the accelerated program. Had a great cohort, people I still speak with and communicate with, because I think that one of the most important things that's helped me grow, like Christina mentioned, is networking. Who you work with, who you talk to, maintaining those connections. And it's not with the intent of just always looking for a job. It's really to just stay informed. And sometimes it's good to know these individuals in these different roles. You can either leverage them for information, and it's just a good opportunity to network with other students. I was lucky to be in person during that session. So you get to work with people and teams, learn about working in teams, because you'll be doing that for the rest of your life. None of these roles you ever work independently. It's always working with team personalities, leveraging other people's strengths. So I think as an individual, you want to find those strengths that you have and work well with others. As far as advice for those of you that are coming out, I think as Christina mentioned, you don't ever want to turn down a role. You know, any opportunity to learn about the healthcare industry, like I said, it's just a huge industry. There's so many different roles and opportunities out there. If you can learn one of those, it's a lot easier to look for a new job or expand into a new role when you have a current position and you have some of that experience that you can leverage. So I would, as far as advice, I would say do not turn down any opportunity you have, whether it's in customer service, whether you're front end administration, whatever the case may be. I would take that opportunity and learn as much as you can.
Thank you, Jose. A question that I have for you specifically as the compliance director, did you see a lot of growth from when you start from the bottom of where you were, and how long was the growth that took between when you first started without a degree to when you kind of where you are now? Like, did you see the growth come gradually just with each time you network with people, or put like your hand into like keep what's that word? The word for like helping out your company? Like, what would you say really pushed you to get further and further in the healthcare industry as you kept growing as an individual?
You know, I'd say I never turned down an opportunity to learn something new. So there's always opportunities where they need assistance to kind of step outside of your current role. Like Christina mentioned, don't be afraid to try something new. Be the first one to raise your hand. I think as my leaders, you know, have demonstrated to me, is that person that's willing to have just a good attitude, always willing to take on something new, always willing to take on more than what's expected of them. Those are the people that you tend to rely on. Those are the people that you think of when there's new opportunities or opportunities to grow. So as far as what's helped me is just having that attitude that I want to learn something. I'm constantly wanting to learn either a new role, a new function, learn about a new opportunity within, you know, the organization. And then my degrees definitely did help. I can tell you, once I got my bachelor's, I seen more opportunities open up, because as you think about some of these roles, there's usually some of those requirements that those roles have. There's requirements, you know, preferred versus actual requirements. As you get your degree, it's definitely opening it's opening the door to more opportunities. There's different styles of leaders. Some will not even look at candidates unless they have a degree. And then there's others where they value maybe more experience. But in a position where you can do both, gain experience and have the degree to complement that, I highly recommend getting the degree. And as far as getting your master's, I definitely benefited from having my master's. But as far as the timing, I know you asked the question of Christina, so I'm jumping ahead. I would say that if you get your bachelor's, I would look for an opportunity, gain some experience, and then if you're able to do the accelerated, but I would definitely see gaining some experience before jumping right into a master's. And that's just an opinion, obviously, but that's what I would recommend.
Okay, perfect. That is amazing for you to share with us. We're going to move on to the next speaker that we have, and that is going to be Ardel. And for you, again, we're just going to start with like how you got to your career path, what like kind of steps it took to get you to where you are, and was it a long growth of being within a company, or was it multiple? And if you did do multiple companies, what did you learn from each one?
So I've been with the same company for the past 20 years. I actually started here as a nursing student, having spent my internship rotation in the intensive care unit. And so I started my career in my very early 20s. And immediately after graduating from nursing school at Long Beach City College, I was hired here at St. Mary Medical Center. I was promoted to a supervisory role at the age of 25, and I spent some time in the intensive care unit for a few years after that. And then I worked on my bachelor's degree, And one of the components of completing my bachelor's degree was pairing myself up with an executive. And so I decided to select our chief nursing officer, who mentored me in my bachelor's program. And I was promoted to the next level managerial role. And throughout my working career, I made sure that I continued with my education. And similar to Jose, I was part of cohort 3 in the accelerated master's program. And that really served as a great catalyst in putting me in the next level trajectory of my career. Leadership has always been a passion for me. And so when I received my master's degree in healthcare administration, I was promoted to be the quality director of the hospital. So I was in charge of quality, case management, social services, employee health, infection control, regulatory, and accreditation for the organization. And then subsequent to that, I was promoted to associate administrator of the hospital, where I absorbed additional responsibilities of ancillary departments. Of note, I was also adjunct faculty and clinical instructor at Long Beach City College in their nursing program. Then I transitioned from that role into the compliance officer role. Our system had some challenges with regard to compliance, and so they needed someone to lead that department in the organization. And so I took the dual role of associate administrator as well as compliance officer. And then eventually to my current role as the senior director of operations, where I oversee 15 departments and programs in the organization. There was mention earlier, and I do agree with Christina wholeheartedly. You really need to have the experience in this line of work, because you need to have the proven groundwork and credibility if you're going to lead a group of people. And I can't emphasize enough the importance of networking. I've had the opportunity to mentor and precept a lot of bachelor students and masters in healthcare administration students from the healthcare administration program at Cal State Long Beach, probably close to 100. And I've had many success stories. I've had students in the bachelor's programs and the master's programs that had degrees in healthcare administration who have transitioned to becoming a nurse, 8 of them in particular. Networking is very important. And I had the opportunity to become the president of the Healthcare Administration Alumni Association at Cal State Long Beach. And so if you have an event of mixers and socialization, make it a point to attend. I can share with you 2 success stories. One was a former intern of mine. He began here right after he graduated from the master's program as a coordinator in one of my departments. And now he's currently the director of patient experience for the organization. My second success story met me at a mixer event. We introduced, and he elected to have his internship rotation here with me. I hired him as the case management coordinator after he graduated from the bachelor's program, and he is now the corporate responsibility officer for 2 hospitals within Common Spirit Health, here at St. Mary Medical Center and in California Hospital in downtown Los Angeles. And so it's been a great journey for me. My clinical experience has really served as a catalyst in my journey in healthcare.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. A question that I have for you is, what challenges were you faced with, like upfront, that you would say just in any position that you held, and how did you overcome it?
dealing with humans, the human resources can be challenging. And being a leader, Jose mentioned different levels of leadership. And so you really have to be craftful and experienced in your ability to lead effectively. So dealing with personalities and individuals can be challenging. Healthcare is quite dynamic, right? And it's ever changing. There's a lot of laws, regulations, rules and reimbursement. And so that's really imposed a lot of challenges administratively for hospitals. One of the things, and you all have experienced this, is the unprecedented pandemic. That, I would say, was probably one of the challenging episodes in my healthcare career. I led the organization as the incident commander when COVID was at its peak. And to see people dying, not knowing what was going to hit us, the challenges in staffing and resources, that was one of the most challenging events in my healthcare career. But again, Christina mentioned the word nimble. Being flexible, being agile in healthcare is very important. And resiliency and teamwork and hard work persisted. And so now we're slowly gaining some balance and equilibrium in running our hospital.
Thank you. Another question that I have is, what resources did you utilize to help you grow in your position?
Finding a mentor. I have been very fortunate to have great mentors in my healthcare career. I was mentored by the chief nursing officer, the vice president of quality, and now by my current hospital president, CEO. My eventual goal in life is to become a president, CEO of an organization. And so finding a good mentor is very important and paramount to making you succeed in your career. And also having the internal drive as well. You really have to be passionate in what you do in order to excel at it.
Thank you. When you say mentor, when students are here, there's different meanings for mentor for each individual. What would you say when someone's looking for a mentor, what they should look for as far as quality, who, like what their background is? Like what advice would you give for when everyone's looking for a mentor, or just one even after graduate school?
There has to be a match. The personality has to be a match. There has to be a mutual connection between the mentor and the mentee. And, it's an investment when you mentor someone. And so it's important that there's alignment in interests, desires, and values.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question that I have for you is, when students first leave Cal State Long Beach, the biggest fear is like all this experience. But if they wanted to try a different area or avenue of experience, how could they go about doing that besides their internship that gives them some access to experience, but not all?
Networking, joining professional organizations. At the end of the day, you really need to be assertive, right? And so it's important that you go out there, you apply for as many positions that are available, you interview for those positions, and if it's the right fit and the right time and timing, that position will be given to you. The key is to really get your foot in the door and showcase yourself, that you are worth promoting and being nurtured and growing an organization. But my advice is to be assertive in really applying for positions. But of course, it has to be something that is aligned with what you want to do, because you don't want to be applying for a position where you're going to be miserable. Otherwise, that will be a detriment to you.
Another question, as far as professional organizations, what are some out there that you could list off for a couple of students who, or for students in general, just that may be interested as far as professional organizations that are available for us?
You know, I'm a big proponent of student associations such as this, the Alumni Association, of course, the American College of Healthcare Executives.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think we'll move on to the next individual. Sorry, give me a second. Our next speaker is going to be Gordana.
It's Gordana, yes.
Gordana, yes.
It's
Nice.
okay.
Excuse me
Hey.
for saying
No worries.
it. My question for you, I think, is just with everybody, like I've said, like where you've like started off and the growth that you've come through from start to finish, and what challenges were you faced with, and what opportunities did you grab as you're moving around trying to figure out where you want to be in healthcare?
Okay, so I'm going to start and then maybe be a little less wordy and have you ask. Is that okay? That way I don't feel okay. All right. So again, my name is Gordana Vukotich. So to Christina's point earlier, I think she mentioned the value, and Ardel may have touched on all of them. You did, Jose, on the value of work experience and education. I started working when I was 15 and a half, not in healthcare. And my entry into healthcare was really by accident. Honestly, it wasn't a planned career in the healthcare industry. I actually broke my family's heart when I didn't go off to medical school, and I majored in international relations. And then I dropped out of college and I got married. So, but I was working in the wine and spirit industry. I transferred from 15 and a half, I was sweeping floors in a company my mom ran, and all kinds of odds and ends jobs, but I worked straight through. And then when I got married, I worked in the wine and spirit industry. And when my son was born and the company did a shutdown, and the owner started his own company, called me back, and I'm sharing this with you, even though it wasn't healthcare. He called me back because I did a really good job there. I was very young. It's a very male-oriented industry. And even as a young female, he called me back to work for him because I worked really hard and he trusted me. And so I want to get this in on the front end. Wherever you go, whatever you do, do your best and develop trust with your bosses. It goes a long way. And while I was working for him then, and I went back the second time, I went back to school, and I remember he said to me, well, why do you need a degree? He said, you went to USC. It doesn't matter that you're a dropout. You're fine. You have college, da, da, da. I said, I want to do it for me. I remember clearly we had this conversation, and he was worried. I'm working 40 hours a week. I have a child. I'm going to school. And I said, I need to do this. I don't feel complete. And I said, but I'm not going to go drive back. I found a UOP. And I have to tell you, that was valuable too. People knock at this and that. I learned a lot there. And if it wasn't for University of Phoenix and my communications class and my colleague and my cohort, I would not have gone to healthcare. She was so passionate, to Jose's point earlier, about her job that we did a team project, and there were 4 of us on this team. And when we met at my house, I'll never forget this, 2 of us showed up, the other 2 flaked out, and she and I picked up the project for our team. Now, one of them had a good excuse, she was sick, and the other one, it doesn't matter, but we presented it as a team, and I saw teamwork at play. That was valuable from University of Phoenix. And she was so passionate. We used her company for the project that I just became interested. As much as I respected my boss and this job with a stable income, And the next thing you know, fast forward, I resigned and I started, and he gave me a manager role. He promoted me and everything. And I quit to go work for Downey Regional Medical Center in sales. Ground up, I had to get my health insurance sales, the life agent license to sell Medicare. And he says to me, Gordana, I can't believe you're leaving me to go sell Depends. It was kind of meant. And I did. And that was the start. And it was right before they switched to CareMore. So I was with CareMore Medical Group / Insurance Services from ground up. I quickly progressed in healthcare. I finished my bachelor's degree around the time I was at CareMore. But they didn't promote me because of that. I did that. I don't know if they needed it just then. For me, I did it because it was like a security blanket. I was afraid that what if it came to that and somebody else had it and I didn't? And I was always working with individuals who are about a decade older. I'm being very frank with you guys. I did it to feel complete, but I also did it because the companies I was working and the jobs I was doing, I was very privileged to have great mentors. And because I started working very young for my mother, who was the toughest boss I've ever had to this day, I learned to do things at a very young age that you normally wouldn't maybe have in a job till you're in your 20s, like finance, or I was doing payroll when I first started college 2 days a week. I would do Tuesdays and Thursdays, the payroll for her company and things like that. So because of that experience, very early, it seemed like I progressed early, but I knew how to do these things. I had skills that were beyond my years, if that makes any sense. And skills that I didn't learn in college, that I learned from home or from just being in my teenage years. So all of this worked in my favor, but I still needed to get that degree. And then I promoted up. And then after CareMore, I had an offer to go run directed. It was a new Medicaid clinical group. And I helped them get contract and be brought up with other health plans. And then I transitioned to Scan Health Plan. And the supervisor manager role wasn't open yet, and I came in as a health representative for the Medicare sales, I remember, for the 90 days, which was actually good. I learned the company from the ground up. The state had, they were under some sanction, and they had just opened them up, learned that, and then I promoted and quickly supervisor manager. And then I went back for my master's degree. Cal State Long Beach was right next door to our company. At SCAN, we had a lot of masters. We were a social health plan, very smart people. I was working very closely with our clinical teams. And at CareMore also, we were, even though we were sales, we worked closely the model, the provider side and the growth sales side. So I really wanted to learn. And for me, though, I just thought, you know what, I thought, to Christina's point, I thought in my 30s, am I going to go? And I did. And I'm glad that I did, and it wasn't hard. It was easier for me to just, I don't know, school just all of a sudden, this academic side came out, and I was just, it just happened, and I did it. And then I promoted, and I actually did the master's to catch up with where I was going with my career in healthcare. The industry and we fit, but I think it was the team and the people I worked with and for. Great mentors at work, great mentor, the late Dr. Frades at Cal State Long Beach. She was one of my professors in my graduate program. I miss her greatly, and she was also one of my mentors. Learned a lot. She introduced me to organizations. I put the names in there, like the Women in Health and Administration and Healthcare Executives of Southern California, and we would just talk about, you know, career and everything. And I was really there, when I started in healthcare, when managed care became big, big, and then I went to a social HMO, and then I transitioned from sales to directing provider services. And I'm really grateful. I know this is jumping the gun as to what you can do with your degree, but the degree in healthcare administration really helped me in that role, because even though I'd had the work experience, I had all this other industry experience. Healthcare administration and the master's degree program really exposed us, and we talked a lot about it with other peers and colleagues from other companies about finance. And healthcare finance is complicated. Our industry is so complex. It's not easy. I mean, even with the experience, and for me, even, it's not at the classes. So when you have the hands-on experience and the work, and then I did the master's program, I think that's why I was able to do it. Honestly, if I had done that master's program straight out of the bachelor's and not had the work experience in between, just me, I don't know that I would have done as well in it. The work experience helped a lot, and the academic experience helped me sharpen my brain. And I don't know, it's like it gave me confidence to go back. And when I was very involved and invited to sit at many conference tables and invited to committees, and I was in charge of a launch when we launched Ventura County, and it gave me confidence. And then it also gave me really, we forged friendships with colleagues who maybe had more experience or a different perspective. And sometimes when we would study, we would talk about things that went on at work in a positive way and look at a different perspective. So for me, the graduate program was very worthwhile, and it helped me at so many different levels beyond just, I don't mean it that way. It's nice to get promoted and to get more money, but it was more than that promotion. It was, I feel that it made me a better person, more well-rounded. It opened my eyes to the diversity in our industry. I recognized how huge the industry is. Our program, I mean, we were all so different. Here I had the sales and marketing background, now going operational. We had doctors of pharmacy in my class, pharmacists, nurses. I mean, just so many experienced individuals. It was humbling. You learned something from everyone. And then after SCAN, there were some changes with the reimbursement from the federal government. I went to work for an MSO, Management Services Organization, and I was an administrator there, overseeing provider groups. And I think of all of the jobs, I really found myself there because I was able to apply my left and right brain. I use both, and both of the business development skills, the sales that I have, and at the same time, really used the operation and really worked on case management, and I oversaw it. We had directors for those departments, but I was involved and responsible for growing our quality scores, and all of it just kind of came together. And again, my education and this program helped me there also. It gave me the foundation, and then the experience at SCAN. And then here it was, the shoe was a little bigger than my experience, and I was able to fill that shoe and exceed expectations. I wasn't afraid of it, but I also was never afraid to ask questions. So I'd like to throw that. I think it's really important, to Jose's point, always raise your hand to volunteer to take on a project. And also, don't be afraid to ask questions. We can't know everything, but what we can know, and it's really critical to succeeding in our industry, I believe, is a couple of things, is to be aware of federal regulations, and compliance is really important. and also to know where to go to find the answer. None of us, and if anybody tells you, I'll challenge any CEO or at any level, none of us know everything. And the more any of us learn, the more we find out that there's so much more to learn. And the laws are changing. I mean, just from when I started, it was before the Affordable Care Act, then the Affordable Care Act. Now we had the other environmental change, the pandemic. So there's always something. The reimbursement methodology for our industry is one of the most complicated, I think, of any industry. And it's impossible to stay on top of it. All we can do is do our best and then forge relationships within our organizations so that if we can't find the answer, we have a colleague who may have it or may help us. And so that we work as a team to be able to get those answers. And that was the role as an IPA administrator. It sounds big, but really you're working with your team and balancing all of these different departments. After that, I actually made a couple of bad choices. I left and I went to work for a public agency in healthcare. And not that it was bad, it just wasn't my thing. I was used to for-profit and nonprofit. Not that one is better or worse than the other, but we work at a different pace than government agencies, more bureaucratic. And at that time, that's when I started consulting. The MSO kept me on a retainer. And I've had a couple of other companies in between, even a marketing agency for healthcare agencies that works on strategy. So I've done a lot of strategic planning and forecasting, retention. Government programs are my forte. And I have to tell you, when we say, you know, where you should go or what you should do, I'm being very frank. I didn't think about it. Like, I didn't say, oh, I'm going to start in healthcare and I know I'm going to be the director of provider services over here or there. That wasn't necessarily my plan. Like I said, I was in a communications class. I mean, I always planned to be a professional and move ahead, but I switched industries and I followed my heart at that moment, but it was a good decision. And then I discovered this is the right industry and this is where I'm going to stay. And I worked, and when I was working in Medicare and even on the sales side, I was always learning from the provider service rep that would go out with me, from the physicians that we were working with. That was our model at CareMore. I worked for a hospital health system for a short time, maybe half a year at Dignity. And I always just am curious to learn. You can never learn too much, but while you're learning things that aren't necessarily in your job description, make sure that you're doing your job. And then having good mentors, and then you discover where your strengths are or what you have a passion for. And then I decided, you know, because I started, it was not like I went out and I sought out this promotion. There was a vacancy and somebody else filled it. And then I said, well, maybe I should try it. And the first time they passed me up, and then that person doesn't work out. And then the CEO says, well, do you want to give it a shot? We'll give you a try, because they thought I didn't have enough experience. And I ended up doing really well. And it just kind of went from there. But I think the key is working really hard, being with the right team, in my opinion, and you know, is more important to me than the name of the company, whether it's Kaiser or Adventist Health or Scan Health Plan or Blue Shield or Vukotich, MSO or whatever it may be. I think you have to find the right team, and not every team is always right for every coach, and vice versa. And the right people. And then you have to know, you know, kind of what your goals are, but also finding allies at work and making friends. And I don't mean in a sneaky way, I mean, just you need people to open doors for you. And when people are opening doors for you, regardless of whether you have a title or not, you're always able to open a door for someone else. And I'm telling you guys, honestly, even when I've been unemployed, I've helped other people get jobs, and it helps you through those rough times in your career. There's nothing more rewarding than opening a door for someone. It feels really good. And open doors for people if you can, and doors will open for you. They will. They will. I just want to highlight, it's not just a trend. I think it's very real. We're a very diverse industry. We're very diverse, the organizations. There's a huge need for individuals who are interested in focusing on diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and whether it's human resources, and those are new jobs that are coming up more and more, even officers in companies. You know, the healthcare industry, California in itself, Los Angeles, so many languages, so many ethnic groups that we deal with. There's experience that's needed. Healthcare is community driven. And so there's a lot of need. There are a lot of new opportunities. And when you should get your master's degree, I don't know the right answer to that. Unlike some of my colleagues here, I would have to say that it depends. I think if you're a social worker, for example, or a psychologist, and it depends on what your focus is, then you want to go straight through and get that master's degree. If you have maybe, it depends what you're, you know, if you have a job and you're working and you're not sure, there are so many opportunities, it's probably a good idea, and it's actually probably would work to your benefit to hold off for a few years, maybe 5 years. I don't know the magic number, but I would say maybe 3 to 5, and get some work experience and kind of figure out, is it population health management that you're interested in? Maybe you're really great at contracting, and maybe healthcare law is the next degree you want. Maybe you just, you know, you worked at a hospital and you decided you want to be a nurse and you want to really do the hands-on thing with the patient. So you may need that window of time, or you may be the student that really knows, you know what, I really want to be a psychologist. We have a huge mental health issue problem out there. This is what I want. If that's the case and that's what you know and you're that passionate today, then there's no reason for you to wait. I think you hear what I'm saying. And then maybe look for a job where your passion is, network, become someone's intern. I strongly encourage internship programs. I think they're so valuable.
Thank you so much. You gave us so much useful information, as well as humbling information, knowing that opening doors for others can really help grow our healthcare population too. And just helping others know that even though we're going through a hard time doesn't mean that we need to let other people struggle with us. Let's open those doors. Let's network. Let's be connecting as one. We are one community. We are one, you know, human being. Like, let's work together and get to where we need to be as a community. And I think it's amazing that you touched on that. Thank you for speaking, all of our speakers tonight. I really appreciate you guys taking your time out of your evening to be able to come here and speak with us and help students really get an insight for what healthcare could look like for us in the future. We never know. And like you guys have all said, like, you kind of just can't put a pin on a door or on a wall and be like, that's what I want to do specifically. We're in a situation where it's kind of like you kind of figure out where you want to go as you're finding each role or going through the roles that you're going through. And I really appreciate you guys bringing that spotlight of information that I personally wouldn't have known, but you've been through it. So thank you again for giving your insight and showing us that there's so much more to healthcare than just, you know, being a CEO or being a CFO or any of those specific titles that people go with when they think of healthcare administration. So again, thank you so much. And then if we have any students who have questions, please feel free to ask them now while we have our speakers.
I do have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey everyone, this is Glad. I'm currently a graduate student at Cal State Long Beach, Master's in Health Administration. You all kind of talked about like mentorship, and I'm really wondering, in your respective organizations, are there any opportunities for your organizations to partner with Cal State Long Beach now for any, residency or internship opportunities that would be that kind of, door for these students now to gain that experience and again, better gain insight into the industry, as we, a lot of them are definitely looking for that.
We actively have an educational agreement with the Healthcare Administration program at Cal State Long Beach, and I'm the primary preceptor for those internship rotations here. So I put my contact information in the chat box there. And so if you need further information about that, feel free to contact me.
Thanks.
I wanted to also ask Sammy and Kimberly with regard to the mentorship program. Does Tom have a list of who is don't we have a mentorship chair through HCA Ardel? This last year, I haven't been as involved. I don't right now, Glad. I'm independently consulting, but I did one project with somebody that I'm on a board, an advisory board here in the South Bay. So I personally don't, but I see, I don't know if Christina and Jose do, but I know that through our mentorship, we have a whole list of organizations, and we have, you can do it through the alumni team. I think we can send him some information, right, guys? I don't know.
So Tom actually reached out to the advisory board, and I had the opportunity to mentor a student last semester. And so if any of you have any desire for a specific area, channel that through Sammy, Kimberly, or Eric, and they can connect with Tom, and Tom can connect with us to see if there's any interest. I know there were about 3 to 4 students that reached out who was placed with a mentor last semester, and I had one of them.
Right, but we are, to your point, Ardel, there are a lot of us that are offering mentorship, but I thought I heard him say he's looking for an internship too, and they're not necessarily the same.
Right. So we do have an internship here at St. Mary. So if any students in the bachelor's programs or master's program is interested, reach out to me.
Yeah, and Glad, this is Jose. To answer your question, unfortunately, we don't have a local internship program. I know Christina and I have spoken about it at work, and unfortunately, because it's our parent company is headquartered in Minnesota, we haven't taken the steps, because there are some steps from a human capital perspective and legal perspective that we have to do to get an internship program to let people on site and actually do an internship. We honestly, like I said, I've mentioned it to Christina. We'd like to do that at some point in time. Just today, we don't have an actual formal internship program with UnitedHealthcare local to Cal State Long Beach, unfortunately.
I appreciate you guys sharing that information.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Sorry to interrupt there, Sammy.
You're good. You're totally
fine. Jose, I currently work for Optum California, the Legacy Healthcare Partners Care Delivery Org. It's been something that I was always looking for, just interested in, what opportunities would, my current organization could offer. I saw you slap UHC on your name. I thought maybe there was extra pull there.
Well, I could tell you, Glad, because you're an actual employee. I mean, I'd be happy to talk about any contacts I may have. The good thing is, because you're already an employee, we don't have to go through those hoops. So if you can contact me offline, I can share my information. And like I said, at the least, we can do an informal mentorship for me. If you have any questions, Christina and I know I'm speaking for Christina, but I can do that. But we'd be more than happy to help and answer questions. Healthcare Partners is a big part, is a big part of our organization now in Southern California here. It's been a few years, and the only thing I can say is there's a lot of opportunity, and like I said, we can share at least that type of information with you, since you are already part of the organization.
That's exciting. Thank you.
Sammy, I'm really sorry. I have to jump off.
No worries.
I apologize. I thought we were here till 8, and then for some reason I had it down till 8, but I need to jump off.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much for your
attendance.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Good luck, everyone. You
Thank
got
you.
this. Have a good night and thank you. It was such a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Bye-bye.
Does anybody else have any other questions for our speakers before they have to leave?
I had a quick question.
Yeah, go for it.
Hi, my name is Morgan. My question is for Ardel here. I remember you saying that mixers were very important for networking and emphasizing finding a mentor. My question is just how does one go about doing that these days when the kind of a trend is doing this stuff online? Where could someone like me find or an easy access to meeting folks like that in person?
Would you like for me to mentor you, Morgan?
That would be so great.
All right. I'll give you my contact me in the information that I posted there. I'll actually send you my cell phone number. Be very happy to.
And then also to mention, Morgan, we are hosting a coffee social in person this semester at the end of December. So we're actually going to have that time to be in person, face to face. It's just sometimes for people like me who have kids, or I can also think that other people do as well. We all have these busy lives, and sometimes doing hybrid is easier than, you know, being in person. So we're just trying to work with our community that we have now, which most were online, and now we're kind of transitioning in person. So we're trying to accommodate both, but we're definitely going to look forward to having that coffee social. So that way we can all get together and really like get to know one another and really grow as our networking community. Because like every one of our speakers have said, networking is like key in our roles as healthcare administrative students. So it's something we'll look forward to seeing you there. I'll see you there. You better be there now that you mentioned it.
I think it's important for all of you, you know, don't be shy to talk to your professors. A lot of them are adjunct faculty and working in the industry, or they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So don't hesitate to stay back, talk to your professors, go to their office hours, contact them. There's likely some connection to be made, even if we can't get together like we used to. But do reach out to them. They're a fantastic resource. And really how you can build your network with those that are in the industry already.
Thank you so much, Christina. If there are any questions.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Morgan, I sent you my cell phone number.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daryl. I'm currently a junior, getting my bachelor's in healthcare administration. I had a question for Jose. Kind of similar situation in regards to kind of when you decide to go back to school and get your bachelor's. I'm currently 29, so I'm a couple years removed from college, but I decided to make my way back after working. Unlike you, though, I don't have much experience in the healthcare industry. So I was wondering kind of if you had any advice in terms of kind of taking that step with somebody who removed themselves from college and then decided to come back, approaching like my early 30s, and just any guidance on that, of like landing an internship, job opportunities and stuff.
Yeah, you know, I'd say for you, I mean, first of all, it's never too late. I'd say there's plenty of opportunity. I know individuals, you know, entry level, there's plenty of entry level positions. You know, there's nothing wrong with being in customer service. I was in customer service myself. Honestly, I think it was one of the best roles I had, because it really developed a foundation, right? Understanding what customers, members, patients, and, you know, deal with on a day-to-day basis, understanding the fundamentals of healthcare, how it works, you know, co-pays, benefits, you know, and the more you can educate, you know, the patients that you're dealing or helping with, the members you're helping, the more you're going to learn. So what I would say is, you know, you have some form of experience, right? So you can leverage the experience you do have, regardless of what type of job you did, right? So it's working on your resume. It's you know, kind of tailoring it to the role you're applying for. Regardless, like I said, of where you work, you deal with customers, you interacted with individuals, you kind of, that's your customer service experience, right? That's how you can leverage what you have been doing. And the fact that you're going to school again, you know, put that on your resume. You know, you're a candidate, you know, put your graduation date. that also goes and put a little blurb, a little bit about what you're focused on. It kind of shows that you have a direction, you have a goal. And you can also use that as a form. Like I said, when you're looking at resumes, when I look at resumes, those are the types of things I look for. How can I take their skills and transfer them? A lot of times it's not going to be an exact match, but it's also how you sell yourself. I think Ardel said earlier, you want to showcase your skills, right? It's how you talk about what you've done. Did you resolve customer problems? That's issue resolution. You talk about experiences you've had in maybe being, under control, maintaining your composure to help a member or help a customer, regardless of the situation, to resolve an issue. Those are skill sets that as managers and, that we look for is somebody who is composed and has the ability to deal with individuals regardless of the situation, right? Good listening skills, being, calm, listening and helpful, at the same time being educational and being able to solve those issues. But I guess what I'm saying is, there's definitely some entry level positions out there that you can, apply for. But you just have to be able to showcase yourself and market yourself, to get in the door, to get those interviews. And I think Ardel even mentioned, have as many interviews as possible, because you're going to learn from them, whether you get the position or not. Either being in front of people, now it's all video, so doing videos, getting on Teams or Zooms, be prepared. Be as if you're in a real interview, dress the dress, play the part, regardless of whether you're on a video interview or not.
Sammy,
I think the mentoring program would be good. Yeah, go ahead, Ardel.
Sammy, Kimberly, and Eric, I was a panelist last semester, and we had a specific topic on how to prepare for interviews, what employers are looking for. I think it'll be another good session for you all to have. So speak to Professor Canego about that.
Yes, we would definitely will.
Thank you so much for that idea.
Thank you, Jose. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and then Darnell, if you don't have, sorry, Daryl, if you don't have a LinkedIn, create a LinkedIn. I've known people that have actually been contacted on LinkedIn by employers, based on their profile. So you want to showcase yourself there as well, because now they're doing mining of LinkedIn, of Indeed. Put yourself out there. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I have about 5 years of experience in sales and customer relations and small to medium business sales. So I have some kind of experience, right? And I understand how to deal with customers. Just transitioning that into the healthcare field in like an administration setting. I'm just learning how to do that because I believe in my skills. So I know, the things I can do. It's just I gotta be able to that end.
Do you like sales, Daryl?
To an extent.
I'm asking because I don't. I mean, I don't like to knock on 100 doors to get one customer. But if that's something you're interested in, there's so many opportunities out there, in that space.
That's kind of why I'm back in school, because I'm kind of done.
Okay. That's me too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll take another question and then we'll let our speakers go because we are running over time, and just be mindful of our speakers' time that they have taken for our evening or for their evening.
And Sammy, I don't know, will you share our email and contact information with this group? I'm okay if you do. And like I said, like I think Christina mentioned, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Daryl, if you take a look at your resume, for me, those types of things don't take a lot of effort, and I'm more than happy to help. I can't offer anybody jobs, right? Because that's different. And, we don't have those type of level jobs, but advice, thoughts, input, that's something I'm always willing to do.
Yes, definitely. We will, if everybody's okay, that's still here, that is what's speaking today. If you're okay with that, please let us know, and then we'll send out your information. I feel like all the students can benefit from just networking, like you said, with the LinkedIn, because now it's like, there was MySpace, there was this, there was that, and now there's LinkedIn. I think it's a great opportunity for all of our students to be able to connect with you. So I will definitely send out your information. Again, thank you guys for taking your time and really helping other students know what they can do with their career path of choice.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.